Another day, another rant. I want to talk about something controversial, something that may get a lot of people pissed off, maybe even YouTube. Maybe they decide, hey, we're not going to keep this video up, we're going to delete it because you talk a bunch of nonsense that we don't want you to talk about, when in fact it isn't nonsense. I want to talk about pride, and I want to talk about that whole pride culture, LGBTQ, the parades, and all that comes with it. I straight up think it's an abomination. I don't think it's something our world needs. It's not good for this world. It's obviously a pre-planned agenda by the bigger corporations of this planet that are forcing other businesses and other corporations all over the world to promote this agenda for a purpose, to make the population weaker. And the corporations that promote this agenda is mainly BlackRock, it's Vanguard, and I don't know what the third one is called. Is it State Street? Don't know. But it's mainly BlackRock and Vanguard. BlackRock owns the world. They own all the corporations in the world. They decide what agendas get pushed onto the world. And they've decided on pride. It's not a coincidence that most businesses out there promote pride. You have to think about it. It's not a coincidence at all. This is all promoted by BlackRock for a specific purpose. They force businesses and corporations globally to promote this agenda, to keep the population weak, because that's what it does. It makes human beings weak. We don't need that shit. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against people who are attracted to the same sex, people who are homosexual, people who are not attracted to the opposite sex. I have no problem with those people. None at all. What I do have a problem with, and the people I do have a problem with, is degenerate people. Pride is pure degeneracy. It's godless, devilish, satanic, degenerate behavior. They're walking in the streets naked, flaunting their nudity, their tits, their ass, dick, twat. It's fucking weird. Our children do not need to see this shit. Children are so easily impressionable. The last thing they need to see is people roaming the streets naked with a bunch of colors on their bodies, just being degenerates, being freaks. It's not what the world needs. The future generations will heavily be impacted by this, because this is what they know. To them, this is the norm. Because again, like, they haven't known anything else. They're just children. And then this is what they're seeing during their childhood. This is the norm for them. They're being taught this shit in schools as well. Pronouns and how to refer to people, how people identify as, gender and sex not being the same thing. Gender and sex are the same fucking thing. There's no social construct or any of that bullshit. It's the same fucking thing. They're synonymous. It's bullshit. I hate when these LGBTQ clowns say shit like, no, sex and gender, they're not the same thing. Gender is a social construct, while sex is, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. They're the same thing. You can't change your gender. Don't be a fucking degenerate. Don't promote that shit to the world. Like, it's fucking disgusting. There's a reason it's so heavily promoted. It's not a coincidence. BlackRock owns the world. They control everything. And they force companies that they have stake in to promote pride, to promote this kind of fucking shit, this fuckery and this degenerate behavior. They do this shit. And these companies, they don't have much of a choice. They either fall in line or they get eaten up alive. They get labeled as controversial, they lose sales, they lose revenue, and they may go bankrupt. They don't want that. So they fall in line. They promote pride for the month that it's promoted every single year. Not because they care about pride. They don't give a fuck. They just don't want to get bankrupt, and they want to increase their revenue. They don't want to lose revenue. It's all about money. But again, I have no problem with people being attracted to the same sex. I have no problem with people like that. Like, you can be with whoever you want. Fun fact, my sister is, she's gay as well. So that's proof that I do not give a fuck about who you're with. I don't give a fuck who you fuck. I don't give a fuck who you love and who you decide to be with. Just keep it behind closed doors. We don't want to see that shit. We don't want to see degenerate behavior. And it's not just about not wanting to see gay people get at it. I don't want to see anyone get at it. I think it's fucking disgusting. I hate when people act like fucking degenerates in public, whether they're heterosexuals or homosexuals. I don't care. I don't care what sexual orientation you have. If you're a fucking degenerate, you're disgusting. And pride screams degeneracy. It's all a degenerate culture, and it's fucking disgusting. And it's the last thing our world needs. Our world does not need that shit. We don't need to celebrate that. No one is against homosexual individuals anyways these days. There are few countries on this earth that are heavily against it. That's just their culture and how they've always been, you know? Such as countries in the Middle East, Russia, these kinds of countries, they're heavily against it. But overall, globally, it's very much accepted still. So there's no need for pride and to promote this idea of everyone's equal and everyone deserves to be loved and blah, blah, blah. We already know this. No one's refuting that. Maybe that was the case decades ago, but that's not the case anymore. We don't need to keep protesting for this shit anymore. It's become a norm, and people are allowed to be with whoever they want. No one gives a fuck anymore. That was a thing back in the day, decades ago. It was heavily frowned upon. But that's not a thing anymore. So why do we need something like pride? Pride is just degeneracy. You don't need to be a degenerate to be gay. Like, you don't need to be a degenerate. Just because you're gay, you don't need to be a degenerate. It's just weird. Just be gay. Just have sex with the same sex, keep it behind closed doors, and don't be a fucking degenerate about it. Same way as I am not a degenerate about, sleeping with a lot of women. I don't go around bragging about it, and I don't go around boasting about it, showing it off to other people. I don't do that shit. I look down on degeneracy. I hate degeneracy. I think it's godless behavior. I don't look down on homosexuality or bisexuality or anything like that. I don't give a fuck about that. Do whatever you want. Literally, I don't care. But I do care about degenerate behavior. I hate that shit. I think it's disgusting. So yeah, I just I don't get it. Like, I genuinely don't get it. I don't get why we still promote this shit. But I do get it. That's the thing. I do get it. I know why we do it. But it's just sad that this is being heavily promoted. But thankfully, more and more people globally are waking up to this fuckery and this BS. And they're realizing that this is not about, gays' rights or anything like that. Because gay people have all the rights these days. They have rights. They are heavily accepted globally. Not by all countries, but that's never gonna happen anyways. So they're accepted by most countries on this planet, by the majority of this world, So it's not about gays' rights. They're already accepted. It's just about promoting and spreading degenerate behavior to weaken the population, to make them easier to control. Because it's all about control and power. The governments want to control us. They want power over us. The way they do that is by keeping us weak. Allowing us to change our genders when in reality you can't change your gender. It's not a real thing. You can fill your body with a bunch of synthetic hormones, but that's not going to change the fact that you were either born a female or born a male. That's it. You can't change that. It's always going to be that. So, yeah, I don't really know how I'm going to keep going with this rant. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I mean, it's just disgusting. I hate that entire culture. I hate that entire movement. And gladly, more and more people are waking up to this. Hopefully, with the years coming up, this kind of behavior decreases and we see less and less of it. But honestly, I highly doubt it. I think it's going to be, I think it's still going to be prevalent. A lot of countries all over the world are promoting pride and promoting this fuckery, and it's sad to see. But again, I'm not against, being with the same sex or being homosexual, bisexual, or anything like that. I'm against degenerate behavior. For instance, I think OnlyFans creators are absolutely disgusting. They're godless as well. selling themselves online. You know, prostitution has always been this thing that has been heavily frowned upon through the history of mankind. It's always been frowned upon. But now, this last decade, women are selling themselves online, and all of a sudden it's accepted. Oh, but they're just making money. It's a good opportunity. Leave them alone. Like, it's disgusting. It's sad where we're headed. But this is the world we're living in, and let's see how it changes in the future. But I don't think it's gonna change much for the better. Like, maybe some countries, wake up and understand that this is just pure fuckery, and it needs to stop. But the bigger corporations will always have major control globally, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, in my opinion. But yeah, let's see where this world takes us. It's going to be interesting to see how these next few years look like, and how people are waking up to the world's BS and all the fuckery that's going on. So, but yeah, that was my rant on this, and thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.